Hello and welcome, it's Graham here for ILQC. Today I'm going to show you how to use the 3D Supercharger plugin, specifically how to load a 3D object to composite with your own footage. This allows you with no 3D knowledge or software to add an extra level of wow factor to your edits. At ILQC we're committed to making plugins that help your workflow. Overlaying a model on your own footage was a feature request we received after the first release of our Supercharger plugin, so we're pleased to bring you it in V2. Let's jump right into Final Cut 10. Here's the timeline with some footage shot flying through the clouds. Over here in my Finder I have a 3D model of an old biplane. It's in the Collada DAE format, which all major 3D packages can export to and is widely available on the web. So first thing I do is open my effects pane, choose ILQC and then the load model on footage effect. I just drag and drop it onto the footage in the timeline. Now you'll see our biplane loads automatically. This is because I included it in the installer so you have something to get going. If we show the inspector, we can see the settings for our plugin. Firstly, let's talk about the text field. This is the address on your machine of where your 3D model is. As I mentioned, this model is included in the Supercharger and installed in your system folder. However, I can very easily delete the text, find another model in my Finder window, and just drag it in. If you have any problems dragging in your model to this text field, click and drag from the Finder window, hit Apple and space to open Quick Launch, drop the model there, then Apple and X to cut that address and paste it into the text box in the plugin. Okay, so we have a 3D model loaded on top of our footage. To manipulate the model in 3D space, we can use the Center X, Center Y and Paste sliders, which allow us to rotate and zoom the object, and as with all Final Cut effects, we can keyframe these sliders to create an animation for our model. Farther down the options, here we have a new mode button in V2. This allows for the variations between how QC handles shadows in the various releases of OS X. Basically, try switching it and see if it adds to your look, and switch it off if you don't like it. Below the model loading text, we have another two additions to the 3D Supercharger V2. These help with selling the look of your 3D model composited into real-world footage. Levels adds a bit of contrast and darkens the model down, and defocus just takes a little bit of the very crisp edge on a 3D model, which can make it feel a little unreal. So I'm going to go ahead and check both of these options. If we hit play, we can see our plane flying through the clouds, and it looks pretty good, but a little static. So let's add some keyframes so it banks and rolls as it flies through the clouds. As I scrub the playhead, I can see here there's a change in direction of the footage from a left hand bank to a straightening up and a slight right hand bank. I'll use the Y center slider to bank the plane. Semicolon is the shortcut in Final Cut 10 to get to the first frame of the clip. Let's try about 0.35. Then on down, let's set a key to make it 0.33. And finally one at 0.36. If we click on the footage and hit Ctrl V, or right click and choose Show Video Animation, we can see the keyframe we have created and use them to drag things around in a more intuitive manner. I'll let you play around with the Center X and the Paste slider, but here's my final result. I've added a biplane sound effect and keyframes for the Paste and X rotation, so the plane pitches and rolls and travels farther away from the camera as the clip progresses. At this stage, we could add an overall look to composite the footage and the background further with something like 8mm, but I'm happy with my result right now. So to recap, I used the ILQC Supercharger plugin to load a 3D model onto my timeline footage, and then use the controls to blend it with that footage and animate it to make a convincing composite in a very short period of time. If you have any questions, use the support tab on the ILQC website or the forums. If you want to learn more about customizing this effect via the motion template, drop us a comment and we'll make a tutorial on that too. Until next time, happy editing.